Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Alhamdulillahi wa kafa. Wa salamun ala ibadihi allazina istafa amma ba'd. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Fazkuruni adhkurkum washkuru li wa la takfurun. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wa salamun ala al-mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our master and our creator, and He has sent down humanity as Ashraful Makhluqat, as the best of creations. Each and every one of us, we are in this dunya, in this worldly life, for a very limited amount of time. Now, even though the deen of Islam, the worldview that it presents, is that this life is a life of test for each and every one of us, based on how we conduct ourselves, based on how we live our lives here, there will be an eternal akhirah after we close our physical eyes, after the day of judgment. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for people who believe in Him, people who live a righteous and a pious life, people who live a spiritual life, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will have an eternal abode for them in Jannah, in His grace and His constant qurbat and His nearness. Now, even though the life in this dunya is a life of trial and test, and each and every one of us, we're being tested in different ways. Sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives, and when He gives so much that giving itself is a test. How will this person use his or her wealth? And sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives poverty. Will this person do patience in this poverty? Sometimes Allah ta'ala gives you health. Will this person use his energy and his strength in the service of the deen? And sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala strikes a person with ailment, that will this person still be a person of gratitude despite the disability? Sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes those closest to us a source of test for us. Sometimes, the ghair, the aghyar, the strangers, they become a source of test for us. So, whatever the circumstance may be, whatever the stage of life we might be in, old or young, male or female, every single person is constantly in a state of test. Yet those people who are close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are still in a state of serenity. They are still in a state of peace within their inner selves. And Allah ta'ala is very clear when He mentions in the Quran, Ala inna awliya Allahi la khawfun alayhim wa la hum yahzanun, that this is the greatest sign of a wali of Allah, a friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, an intimate khalil of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. La khawfun alayhim, they do not have external fears. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, despite being in a state of test and trial and tribulation, they are not afraid of people around them. They are not afraid of the system around them. They are not afraid of the circumstances around them. وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ, and they do not have any internal grief. Meaning, Allah Ta'ala gives them such a strong heart that whenever what we apparently feel like a very, a trial that seems very, apparently very strong and a hardship that feels very hard to bear, still their hearts remain attached to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Still their hearts are in a state of serenity and gratitude towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the biggest sign. This is the biggest sign. You don't need to look at the externals of a person. If a person is acting in such a way, a person of Iman, Allah Ta'ala frees them from khawf and huzn, then we must remember that they are awliya of Allah subhanahu. So I have this, I've thought about using this English lecture to talk about ways that we can free ourselves from this stress and depression that we feel in our life. And these are small, just thoughts and some discourses that we have learned from our elders. This is not from my own self. This is only things that we have learned from our elders. The Deen of Islam is a tradition that has been handed down centuries after centuries, generation after generation. And we are not adding anything to it. I do not want my name or my fame, but I do want to protect the tradition and protect the beauty of this heritage that has been handed down. So this is what we have learned from our elders, and it is our duty to share it with others as well, so they may be able to benefit from as well. So, La khawfun alayhim wa la hum yahzanun. They do not get stressed out. They do not go into a state of depression. Now, depression is also a clinical ailment, illness and sickness. And people who are depressed, we should not naturally assume that they're not walis of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is not the case. Sometimes there is chemical imbalance that makes that makes a person go in a state of depression. Sometimes they have stresses in their life and they have not yet learned how to have tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how to leave everything on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so those stresses are too much for them to bear. Sometimes loneliness causes that. So there are different reasons for that. And we should never minimize anyone's suffering. But in general, a person who remains attached to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah ta'ala protects them from this state of depression and a state of stress. And think of it in terms of a young child. And I'll give you an example of my own son. Sometimes when I go and I have to buy a coffee, I will go into the coffee shop and my son, who's 7 years old, 8 years old, he will accompany me. And he feels very confident. He'll be jumping around, running around the coffee shop. And the reason is that because he knows there's somebody there he trusts. He knows there's somebody there he can depend on. He knows that his own father, his flesh and blood, somebody who loves him, somebody who cares for him is right there. And so he feels the strength that I can talk to anyone, I can do whatever I want. And so he's a naughty little kid, and so he does it. Now, sometimes I ask my son Muhammad to just go and, that I ordered online, and Muhammad, can you go and pick it up? Now he feels nervous. He feels nervous. Oh, what will I say? What will the person say? How will I react? And so that strength, that courage that he showed before, now he fails to show that. And what is the only difference? In one instance, it's the same person, but in one instance, he feels that there's somebody there for him, that no matter what happens, this person will step up. And in the other instance, that feeling of somebody's presence is gone. And that is the difference between a wali of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and a regular Muslim as well. That the awliya of Allah, they're regular people. They're people like you and I, but their hearts remain so attached to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have that courage, they draw their courage and strength from the presence of Allah. And when we say presence, we don't mean a physical presence. We mean ma'iyyat, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is transcendent. We mean this ma'iyyat, this feeling of closeness, awareness of somebody, that they feel that لا تحزن إن الله معنا, that we will not have any grief because Allah is with us. They feel that نحن أقرب إليه من حبل الوريد, that Allah is closer to me than my own carotid artery. They feel that. They feel that closeness with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. هو معكم فَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ, He is with you wherever you are. And as soon as that feeling is gone, then it becomes, oh, I am so lonely. I don't know what to do. I feel like my life is so empty. I feel like I can't make a decision. Just like my son. Now, when he feels alone, there's that nervousness. There's that weakness. There's that lack of strength and lack of courage that manifests itself. So a mu'min, a Muslim, is exactly like that. As long as they feel the closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they will be on the battlefield of Badr and Uhud. And they will be less in number, but they will have strength of Iman. And when that goes away, you can be numerous in number, but they will be like froth. But they will be like a froth or foam of the sea, as Prophet ﷺ mentioned in the hadith. So it's important to remember that we will always have trials and tests and tribulation. Being a Muslim, we accept that. This is our worldview. Allah Ta'ala is testing us. That is why the philosophical problem of evil doesn't really exist in Islam. If you look at the Ilm al-Kalam, Ilm al-Aqaid, and if you look at the discourses of the Muslim philosophers, this problem of evil which exists in a Christian world doesn't really exist in the Muslim world, because we know it. We know that we are being tested. So when we see evil around us, when we see problems around us, we understand that this is a source of test for us. And a Muslim holistically looks at his or her life, not in terms of the 50, 60 years in this world, but the infinite before this life and the infinite after this life. And so they see it as a blip, as a grain of salt, when in the bigger scheme of things. And they think that this blip or this grain of salt, it is just here, Allah Ta'ala is just transitioning us through this world, and He's testing us. الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا, that He has created this life and death, and He's transitioning us through this. He wants to see, He's just checking which ones of us can be righteous in our deeds, in our action. And so Allah Ta'ala transitions us through this, and based on our reaction to what Allah Ta'ala gives us, to the circumstances Allah Ta'ala puts us, then we will have eternity of closeness to Him in Jannah, or eternity of being far from Him in Jahannam. So I hope it's clear. So inshallah, yet when a person is in this life of 50, 60 years, Allah Ta'ala still wants to have sukoon, the peace and tranquility. And as last time it was mentioned, the sukoon is in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we'll talk about how do we get this sukoon in our lives. So last time we mentioned that the biggest source of sukoon, of peace for a mu'min, is the fact that they are bringing iman on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we spoke about how we can judge our own iman. There are different ways. There are 4 things that was mentioned in the hadith that we should judge ourselves by. Today, inshallah, we'll just speak a little bit about what else we should be thinking about. We should remember that in our existence, there are 2 things that make us a human being. First, it is our physical body, that we look at ourselves in our mirror, that we identify each other by, this human body. But the asl, the reality of the human being is the ruh, is the soul that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put within us. And when we look at all the organs, all the faculties that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, the heart and not the physical heart, but the spiritual heart within this ruh, is like the king that controls everything else. And our mashayikh have written that the heart itself is the center of emotion of a person. And all of our other faculties, even our intellect, all of our other faculties, even our physical body, are tabi', are obedient, subservient to our hearts. And they act in a way that the heart feels. So, for example, if the heart is sad, then the whole body feels sad. If the heart loves something, then the whole body reacts that way. If a heart detests something, hates something, then the whole body, your thinking will change, your wants will change, your body language will change. Why? Because the heart felt something, right? So everything about our physical existence and our spiritual existence is subservient to our hearts. That is why when we do tazkiyah and tasfiyah, when we clean it, when we rectify it, and when we make our hearts solely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it becomes a source of peace and tranquility. What that really means, my dear sons and daughters, is that the heart should only be filled with the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It should only be attached to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It should not be attached to the dunya, to this world, and what is in this world. It should not be attached to the materialism in this world. It should not be attached even to the people in this world. And we love those people for the sake of Allah. I love my parents because Allah Ta'ala wants me to. I love my wife because Allah Ta'ala wants me to. I love my children because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me to. So every connection, I love my teachers, I love my students because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me to. I love humanity, not because I'm a good person. Right? It's not about me. It's what Allah ta'ala wants me to be. I love humanity because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me to. Allah ta'ala created them. So every love, every connection, it has to be for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when that is the case, then you will truly feel that when a relationship is taken away or something of this dunya is taken away, you will never feel sad. Because your connection, your primary connection, your purpose, the thing that you find meaning is that remains intact, which was your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahu Akbar kabira. Now, this heart, seemingly, even in the physical sense, is a very small thing, right? It's a small part of our body, but it is such a fundamental, even for the physical existence, such a fundamental part. It's an ajib. When we talk about the ruh, about the soul, the heart really is such an ajib, it's such a strange thing. People say that it is so simple as it is a center of emotion. It is so simple, yet it is so complex. Because what it wants, it really makes a person who that person is in their life, based on their heart. I mean, the heart makes you or the heart breaks you. The heart makes you or the heart breaks you. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَوْ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. That even on the day of judgment, your mal, your wealth, your banoon, your sons and daughters, your children will not benefit you. And the only thing that will benefit a person is a sound and untainted heart that they will bring to us. And in another place, it is mentioned that Allah Ta'ala does not look at your faces, meaning how beautiful you are externally, what color you are externally, your status. Allah doesn't look at your wealth. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at your hearts and Allah Ta'ala looks at your amal, your deeds. Allahu Akbar. But the heart is in different states. It's always in different states. Sometimes the heart can be arrogant. Sometimes the heart is humble and has humility. Sometimes the heart is aware. It is aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And sometimes it is in heedlessness. There are curtains over it. Sometimes the heart bows down to the idols of the dunya. And sometimes the heart, it is submitting itself to the Khalik, to the Creator. So the heart is such a key thing. Sometimes the heart is sick. It has diseases in it. So for example, shahwa, lusting, ghussa, ghaid, and ghadab, like having anger, having avarice, having jealousy, having vanity, having kibr, having arrogance, right? Having all of these things, these are part of the spiritual and diseases of the heart. And sometimes it is so pure and it is free from all the diseases that you can feel the halawa, the sweetness of the faith. Sometimes, sometimes the heart has peace in it, and it emanates peace to those around. And sometimes it is filled with negativity, that all it feels is negative towards others. And even people start saying that, you have such negative vibes. Allahu Akbar Kabira. So this is a very powerful faculty that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. And so we should take care of it. We should nourish it. We should not let it die and wither away. We should nourish it like a plant is nourished. And that is why last time we were talking about Iman. Iman nourishes the heart. Dhikr, remembrance, nourishes the heart. The suhbat of Ahlullah, the being in the company of Ahlullah, it nourishes the heart. And if we just let it be, then it becomes like a tree that is wild, branches all over, connected to everything, affected by everything, right? And when we protect it, we are like in this house, sitting inside and looking out, and all the natural elements outside, they don't affect it. Even if there is a hurricane outside, even if there's a blizzard outside, I am sitting inside in the peace, in the calm, in the warmth, and I'm just looking outside, unfazed by what is happening. That is when you protect your heart, it becomes unfazed by all the trials and tribulations that are happening. Allahu Akbar Kabira. Allahu Akbar. Once a wise person said about this heart, that those people who are not wise, that they will destroy their heart for the sake of the dunya, for the sake of wealth and whatever is in this dunya, in this world. And those people who are intelligent, they will, for the sake of the peace of their heart, they will sacrifice everything that they have. So it's how we look at things. There's a school in Harvard that they opened, and you can look it up. It's the College of Happiness, the School of Happiness, because they want to research how do you become happy? How do you become content? And they will look at the psychological causes and all of that. But really, this is the spiritual thing that Allah Ta'ala has put within us. If you will run after dunya, then the peace of heart will run away from you. And if you will make the peace of heart the main priority, then dunya becomes irrelevant. The world becomes irrelevant. You can have peace, like Ibrahim bin Adham. He was sitting in a cave after giving up his kingdom for 10 years, and he had peace in his heart. And while he was king, even though he had wealth, status, beauty, whatever people, find important in this dunya, yet he could not find peace of heart. So an intelligent person is who makes this happiness and this spirituality and this, as Allah Ta'ala wants us to have, the main purpose of their existence. That I will have this sukoon, and I will have the sukoon of heart, and I will not run after the pleasures of the nafs. Allahu Akbar Kabira. Another wise person once said then that in order to win other people's hearts, first you have to win your own heart. Meaning you have to learn how to control your own self first, control your own heart first. Allahu Akbar. If you control your heart, then the whole world is in your control. It's ajib. It's ajib. Why is it? Because none of the world then matters then. I remember my teacher one time, he was traveling through, I believe, the Twin Cities of Minnesota. And there is supposedly like one of the biggest malls over there. And the host who was traveling with the sheikh, he told him that it is so expensive. You have so expensive things here that the kings and the princes and princesses of the world, they come and they shop here, and the price, I mean, it's just unbelievably high. And my sheikh, well, it doesn't really matter to me. And the host is like, what? You're so rich that the price doesn't matter to you? And the sheikh replied, he said, no, it doesn't matter to me because I don't want to buy anything. And if I don't want to buy anything, then it doesn't matter if something is 1 cent or if something is $1 billion, because I don't care for it. So it doesn't matter how expensive it is. This is a person who has learned how to control their heart. And now the heart is not attached to it. Because he controlled the heart, he was controlling the world. He was walking around with, subhanAllah, such stature and such waqar and such certainty. Such certainty that it is like you are in the dunya, but you're not of the dunya. It's ajib. You're in the dunya, but you're not of the dunya. And that is the key. We need to become people who win our own hearts, who learn how to control our own hearts. Allahu Akbar kabira. And another wise person said, Allahu Akbar, that if your heart is darkened, that it doesn't matter how many lights you have outside. It doesn't matter what kind of lights you may have outside. And I feel like this, Allahu Akbar, every time I visit, because I live in New York City, and every time I go to Times Square, this is where they have the New Year's celebration, and all you see is lights and these external experiences of lights jumping around, and people are oohing and eyeing, and every single time, I can remember like even one time, and I've not thought about this, it's exactly this, that when the heart is darkened, then it doesn't matter what kind of lights you have around you. It doesn't matter how many people you see around you. If you have loneliness and emptiness in yourself, in your heart, then you can be in the company of 100 people, you'll still feel lonely. If you are dark inside, then you can have all the LED and blinking lights and beautiful lights outside. You will always be dark inside. Allahu Akbar kabira. Allahu Akbar. And another person said that a person who is unintelligent, their heart is on their tongue. Meaning whatever they feel, they just say it. They don't control their tongues. And those people who are intelligent, their tongues are in their heart, that they have tafakkur, as the Quran says, they have tafakkur in them. They do fikr. They are deep thinkers. That they are deep thinkers in their hearts. Rather than just blurting out everything that you want with your tongue, they listen. They are good listeners. So this concept of heart, and we've spoken about this many, many times before, but from a different perspective. Today, I just want to, that we need to, the purpose of these majalis is that we need to be able to learn how to have this faculty in its optimum state. And we make our hearts what Allah Ta'ala wants to see the hearts is, because He's looking at them. He's looking at them. And even in Akhirah, وَحُسِّلَ مَا فِي الصُّدُورِ, Allah Ta'ala will open up like a flower opens up. And whatever is inside it, Allah Ta'ala will make there. So, we have to learn how to control that. Allahu Akbar Kabira. Hazrat Hassan Basri Rahmatullah, one of the greatest mashayikh of this ummah, he used to say that there are 5 signs that the heart is withering away, that the heart has become darkened, that the heart is dying. He said the first is that you are sinning with the hope of making tawbah. It is a sign that your heart is dying. That you are sinning, oh no, I will do tawbah, I will ask for forgiveness. Rather than controlling your heart and ultimately controlling your action, we are saying that I'm going to sin, and just in the back of your mind, you have, I'll ask for forgiveness. That is a sign that the heart has become rotten. Second, he said that the sign of a rotten heart is that you learn the knowledge, but you don't act upon it. And I share this with all the students of our institute, is that, we really need to make sure we are very clear about why we're gaining this knowledge. We don't want to be called names. We don't want fame. We don't want name. We don't want praises. We need to learn how to act upon it and how to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the only purpose why we do this. So learning ilm and not acting upon it, it is a sign that our hearts have become rotten. Third, not having sincerity, not doing everything, not like main things, but not doing everything for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Having the lack of ikhlas. Now, ikhlas is a separate topic that inshallah we'll talk about someday. It is very, very difficult to have. Ikhlas is the ultimate step that leads to ihsan. Ikhlas, sincerity, is the ultimate step that leads to ihsan, this presence of Allah subhanahu, the ultimate enlightenment. That even every breath you take is for the sake of your beloved. Right? Eating, drinking, sitting, standing, walking, raising your gaze and lowering your gaze, every single thing becomes for the sake of beloved. And it is a state that people achieved, but it's a difficult state. And it begins with making sure that we are making proper intentions. Everything that we do, we make the intention first, even if it's not in the heart first. Say it with your tongue. I'm doing it for the sake of Allah. I'm doing this for the sake of Allah. I'm eating, I'm going to job, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to talk to this person, I'm not going to talk to that person, for the sake of Allah, for the sake of Allah, for the sake of Allah. So it starts with making pure your intentions, and it leads to a state of heart, which is called ikhlas. Mukhlisin lahuddin. That your whole way of life has the sincerity towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fourth thing, Hazrat Hassan Basri Rahmatullah says, that you eat your rizq. Rizq is an overarching thing. It's not just food. It's whatever Allah has given you in this life. All the provisions. So making use of all the provisions that Allah Ta'ala has given you and not doing shukr and not showing gratitude. Shukr is such a key. The opposite of shukr is actually kufr. Right? Kufr is this rejection of not doing shukr, not being grateful. Ungratefulness is basically kufr. And so much so that the word that is used for a non-believer is kafara, is a kafir. Kafir doesn't mean infidel. You hear this in like contemporary discourse. Oh, kafir, they're calling him infidel. There's no such thing as infidel. Kafara in Arabic basically means somebody who rejects. Somebody who rejects. So, and the opposite of that is shukr. So meaning ultimate form or expression of gratitude is iman. That you accept that your Lord has created you and you accept your Lord in your heart. You accept Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's light, and that is Iman. And when you reject that light, that is kufr, that is kafara. Right? So making use of every, we're breathing. Do we deserve to breathe this air that Allah Ta'ala has created for us? Breathing it in and throwing out this carbon dioxide, which if you look at a macro level, it's adding to the greenhouse effect, right? So in a sense, our breathing is destroying the planet, right? But we are doing it, and Allah Ta'ala allows us to do it. So every breath is a rizq from Allah, is a ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we have to be grateful. We have to show shukr for every breath that we take. So not showing shukr is a sign that the heart is rotten. And my dear brothers and sisters, that shukr is not only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is also to people around us. Doing shukr to our parents. Thank you for doing everything. Our father, our mother, our brother, our sisters, right? Saying shukr to our teachers, saying shukr to our communities. Be thankful, be grateful for all that Allah Ta'ala has given us. Allah Akbar. It is so astonishing that we have the audacity to complain when every morning we wake up, we take warm and hot showers. Allah Akbar. Think about that person who doesn't even have clean water to drink. They're human beings as well. They are our brothers and sisters in humanity, are they not? Allah Ta'ala has given us so much. We have children and we still complain. Look at those people who are barren, who cannot bear children. We have a house over our heads. Look at those people who are sleeping on the streets. So this is like an ajib. This is like an ailment that we have become people of ingratitude towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So having that awareness and saying Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah all the time, rather than looking for things that we can be ungrateful about, look at the things. There's so many things to be grateful about. I mean, Allahu Akbar Kabira. We cannot even be grateful for, subhanAllah, the fact that we're able to close our eyes, blink. Some people, they have this dryness of eyes, they can't even blink. We are able to blink, we're able to walk, we're able to talk, we're able to eat, we're able to drink, we're able to do everything. Allahu Akbar, we're able to do everything. And yet, we are the biggest complainers out there. So the sign of a good heart is a person will always have shukr in their heart. The fifth thing, subhanAllah, Hazrat Hassan Basri rahmatullah said that a sign of a dead heart, a rotten heart, a darkened heart is that a person will bury their loved ones, but they do not learn from it. And this is ajib, right? It's ajib. We bury our own loved ones, our parents, our grandparents. They were acting exactly like we're acting. Running after the dunya, wanting their name and fame and bigger house and bigger car. Where are they going now? They are going under the soil, under the earth. And they will live their life there till Qiyamah. Whatever happened to all their degrees, whatever happened to all their, the wealth, the dollars, the bank balance that they had? Now other people will be fighting over it. Not learning the lesson when we see death around us. He said we need to value life. And valuing life is not this YOLO. You only live once, so enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. No, life is not for that. Valuing life is that you do what you have been sent to do. The purpose, the maqsad of the life. Gaining that ma'rifah, the knowledge, the understanding, the qurbat, the closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and living a life of service. Not living a self-centered life, living a life of service towards others. Detach from the love of the dunya, my dear brothers and sisters. I cannot overemphasize this goes against the Muslim and Islamic ethos. This prevalence of materialism that has inflicted Muslims now too. This is not how Sahaba Ikram lived. This is definitely not how Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam lived. So, we need to become, we need to rise above that. We need to rise above all of that. Allahu Akbar Kabira. And so protecting the heart, it takes effort. Imam al-Shafi'i, rahmatullah ta'ala, one of the greatest legal minds within this deen, he used to say that if you want to make sure that your heart remains enlightened, protect yourself from frivolous talk. Talking for the sake of talking. All right, let's chat. Let's chit-chat. So avoid chit-chatting. Become people who are engaging in dhikr and ilm and knowledge. Be deep. Be deep. So he said, protect yourself from frivolous and unneeded talk. Allahu Akbar Kabira. Allahu Akbar Kabira. And Imam Jafar as-Sadiq rahmatullah, and somebody actually attributes to Dhunun Misri rahmatullah ta'ala, he said that true taqwa of the heart, true cleanliness of the heart, is that whatever is in your heart, if you put it in and you are walking in the marketplace, then nobody will be able to raise a finger. It is that pure. There's nothing bad in it. SubhanAllah, we should aim for that. That it is free from animosity and malice towards others, and it should be free from the love of the dunya. It should be free from that. Allahu Akbar Kabira. Hazrat Usman Ghani Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu, the third righteous caliph, he said that gham of the dunya, fikr of the dunya. Gham dunya means that you're just overwhelmed by the thoughts of the dunya, or how to get that. He said that it darkens the heart, and gham uqba, fikr or feeling the of how to improve your akhirah meaning your life after death, said it enlightens the heart. And it makes perfect sense. Look at all the violence and death and murder that we see around us. Really, wherever it's happening, there's 7 billion human beings, more or less. All the death and destruction that we see, whether it is from our own country, whether it is against other countries, whether other countries are doing against other countries, whatever the case might be, whether it is happening on any of the continents, A, human beings are doing it. B, why are they doing it? In the pursuit of power, in the pursuit of resources, in the pursuit of wealth, right? As they say, corporations, that's exactly in the pursuit of status. That is, people are willing to take other people's lives. People's lives, Sajid. And you see that, you want to see that in our own contemporary society. Look what happened on the Black Friday. Everyone running around. Is that not like the animalistic behavior? And these puppeteers, these corporations, they are, they have like strings in their hands and they're moving this. And we are just jumping exactly as they want us to jump. It's ajib. Allahu Akbar Kabir. So freeing ourselves from all of this. Allahu Akbar Kabira. Jesus alayhi salam, Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, Jesus Christ, may peace and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon him. He is known for this kind of zuhd. Zuhd basically means asceticism. This kind of disconnect from this dunya. Actually, all the prophets were like that. Even those who were made kings, their hearts were not like that. Their hearts were humble and they had humility. And Prophet ﷺ, subhanAllah, in very comprehensive hadith, he mentioned that in every single person, every body, there is a piece of meat. And if that piece of meat is sound, then the whole body, meaning all the actions that are coming out of that body are sound. And if that piece of meat is rotten, that whole body and the actions that come out of that body also become rotten. And he said, no, you should know that it is your heart. Allahu Akbar Kabira. Allahu Akbar Kabira. Allahu Akbar. It's a deal. Musnad Imam Ahmad rahmatullah, he mentions that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he mentioned that a person, their heart has 4 states, 4 different kinds of states. Or there are 4 different types of hearts, if you want to call it that. He said the first is called ajrad, meaning that heart that is so pure, so clean, so clean, like a lamp, like the light of a lamp. That is how beautiful it is. It is free from taint. It is free from any kind of darkness in it. And the second, he said, is qalbi aghlaf, a heart that is, has a ghilaf. Ghilaf means when you put something around, right? Like a curtain. So a heart that has a curtain around it, that is covered. So that is the proper term, the heart that is covered. And the third is a heart, a qalbi mankus, yani a heart that is upside down. One is that, you have like a bowl and you can put the bowl upside down as well. So heart that is upside down, meaning its top is at its bottom and its bottom at its top. And he said the fourth kind is qalbi musfih, meaning a heart that has 2 sides, two sides to it. Now, very briefly, inshallah, the first kind of heart is a heart of a true mu'min, a person who is completely submitted himself or herself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning the nur of Iman, the light of Iman is very, very clear, very, very obvious in their hearts. And they have no malavat, right? They have no disturbance in their heart. Allahu Akbar. The second kind of heart, which is mughlif, something that is covered, that is the heart of a kafir. Again, a kafir is one person who shows ingratitude, right? So even the Quran tells us that there are some people whose hearts have been completely blinded to this. So kafara, right? Their hearts are closed to it. And we see people around us. They have such intellect, but they are so away from the divine. It just doesn't click to them. It's very strange to me. There's such good people around. But when you talk about divine and divinity and it just doesn't click to them. So this is the mughlif. This is the heart that has been covered completely and tied from the top. Now it just doesn't see what's beyond it. It's kind of like an eggshell. Right? If there's a chick inside the eggshell, the chick doesn't know that there's a life outside of the eggshell. And if somebody tells it, one day the eggshell will break and you will come out and there's this whole world outside. What are you talking about? This is all I see. I see is this eggshell around me. This is my world. This is my world and this is my experience. Right? So this is the heart of a kafir, a person who disbelieves, a person who rejects. A rejecter has the second kind of heart, which is qalbi aghlif. The third heart is the heart of a hypocrite, a heart that is upside down, meaning they know what truth is. They don't know what truth is, but they do not accept it. It doesn't enter it. It doesn't enter the heart. So it's upside down. So when a bowl is upside down, you can try to put milk in it. What will happen? It will bounce off of it. So it's exactly like that. And meaning these people, apparently they have accepted, but a munafiq, a hypocrite, is who apparently says that they are Muslims, meaning who have submitted themselves, but their hearts have not submitted. Allahu Akbar Kabira. And this is a fraud, right? A hypocrite is always a fraud. They will say something, but their heart will believe something else. They will act in a way, but their heart is somewhere else. Meaning they'll do it for others. It's hypocrisy. They will do it for others. They will pretend. So they are pretentious people. Allahu Akbar Kabira. And the fourth kind, a person who's two-faced. Right? Who's two-faced. Allahu Akbar Kabira. Meaning they have two kinds of actions in them. Apparent actions are different and inner actions are very, very different. Allahu Akbar Kabira. Hazrat Abu Bakr Viraq was a great sheikh of the Ummah, and he said that there are different kinds of halat that come on a qalb. For example, hayat and maut. Sometimes the qalb is alive and sometimes the heart is dead. Sometimes the heart has sihat, is sick, and it has sickness in it, and sometimes it does not. It is well. It is very strong. Sometimes it is in a state of sleep or slumber, and sometimes it is awake, a state of awareness. So each and every one of us, without exception, we are in one of these states. Either our heart is completely dead, meaning we are completely shut off from the divine, and we have completely rejected him, or it is alive, meaning alhamdulillah, there is life in it. Now, when it has life in it, then it will have four other states. Either it is healthy, right? Either it is healthy, or it is sick. Healthy is without any spiritual diseases, and sick is with spiritual diseases. And when it is healthy, it will have two other states. Either it is in a state of awareness, or it is in slumber. So healthy hearts, meaning they don't have any spiritual diseases, they can also be in a state of heedlessness, that they're just not aware of Allah Ta'ala in their presence. So our main goal is to have hearts who have the state of ihsan. Allahu Akbar Kabira. And so he used to say that the hayat, the life or heart that is alive, it completely depends on the hidayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on the guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if there is no guidance, then it will die off. It will die off. And the sihat, the health of the heart, it is because of the taharat. If you are clean outside and inside, then you will have sihat. Then you will have healthy. And the easiest way to get sihat and health is through husul of iman and tawheed. I mean, tawheed is this oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has such a cleansing effect on the heart. Allahu Akbar Kabira. So qalb salim will only be for that person that has iman. That has iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So inshallah, we'll continue talking about this, but the last thing that I want to just talk about this is that, anytime we have any physical disease, we become worried about it. We'll rush to the local hospital, the doctor, emergency. But when we become sick inside, we don't really worry about it. Showing off is a sickness. Why don't we worry about it? Arrogance is a sickness. Why don't we worry about it? Havas or avarice or greed is a sickness. Why don't we worry about it? Bukhl, the miserliness, it's a sickness. Kina, Kina is feeling this negativity and malice towards others, hatred towards others. It's a sickness. Why don't we? Jealousy is a sickness. And Anbiya Ikram, the prophets, came to help us alleviate these sicknesses. But we don't want to do, we don't do it. They made tremendous effort on the tazkiyah of the spiritual heart. Allahu Akbar Kabira. Allahu Akbar. Because when the heart changes, everything changes. Everything changes. Life changes. The purpose of the life changes. The way we look at things changes. The worldview changes. Our love changes. Our hatred changes. Our mihnat, our mujahida changes. The things that we strive for changes. Our tajarat, what kind of profit we're looking for in akhirah, it changes. History changes. The future changes. Like everything. Zamana changes. Everything changes when this one thing changes. One thing changes. Allahu Akbar. Our nights will change. Our days will change. Hmm? Allahu Akbar Kabira. So inshallah, we should at least have the fikr of changing our hearts. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us those people who worry about our hearts and who fix them with the dhikr of Allah, with our iman, with the presence, with the help of our elders. Ameen ya Rabbul Alameen. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah. Inshallah, for a few minutes, close your eyes, bow your heads in humbleness and humility, and focus your attention towards your heart, and focus the attention of your heart to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Feel His rahmah, His grace, His nur, His light descending upon us and cleansing us of all the filth, all the darkness of our sins, and feel that our heart is calling out to Him. Feel that our heart is saying, Allah, Allah, Allah. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Inshallah, make a small dua. سبحان ربي الوهاب اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين. O Allah Kareem, our kind and merciful Lord, Ya Allah, we sit in front of you today. Ya Allah, we cannot, Ya Allah, we cannot lie to you. Allah, we can lie to everyone else, but we cannot lie to you. Allah, our hearts are very apparent to you. Our lives are in front of you, Ya Allah Kareem. Allah, we have ruined our own existence by attaching ourselves to the dunya and people in this dunya. Oh Allah, today we beseech you and Ya Allah, we plead to you, Allah, that you bless our hearts with your muhabba, with your love. Allah, give us one drop of your love, Allah, that we can feel the sweetness of Iman throughout our existence, Ya Allah Kareem. Allah, you know how lonely we are without you, Ya Allah Kareem. Allah, Ya Allah, you can see how empty we are without you, Ya Allah Kareem. Allah, we have everything in this dunya, yet we're so empty, Allah. And that is because our hearts are empty of your muhabba, your love, your connection, Allah. Allah, bless us with that connection, Ya Allah Kareem. Allah, make us truly human, Ya Allah. human being, Ya Allah, who serves others, Ya Allah. Make us a human being who's only attached to you, Allah Kareem. Bless us with the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ya Allah, He showed us how to really achieve this pinnacle of humanity. Allah, help us follow in His footsteps, Ya Allah Kareem. Oh Allah, make us righteous and pious, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, help us draw strength from our Iman. Help us draw courage from our Iman. Help us draw, Ya Allah, courage from our faith in you, Ya Allah Kareem. Oh Allah, you have truly blessed us throughout our life. Allah, help us stay blessed, Ya Allah Kareem. Oh Allah, make us into people who submit ourselves completely in front of you, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, help us submit our thoughts to you. Help us submit our wants to you. Help us submit our emotions to you. Help us submit our actions to you. Oh Allah, help us take the beautiful message of Islam and spread it throughout the world, Ya Allah Kareem. Oh Allah, Ya Allah, you are such an amazing Lord, Ya Allah Kareem. Allah, we have become such despicable servants, Allah, so selfish in our existence. Oh Allah Kareem, help us serve others, Ya Allah Kareem. Oh Allah, please accept us and give us sukoon and peace and serenity and tranquility in our hearts, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, please accept all of our du'as with your rahmah and your fazl alone, Ya Allah Kareem. खुदावंदा मकसूद मन तू ई व रज़ाए तू मेरा मोहब्बत व मारफत ज़ौक़ व शौक़ बिदे सल्लल्लाहु ताला अला खैरि खल्क़िही मुहम्मद व अला आलिही व अस्हाबिही अजमाईन बिरहमतिका या अरहमर राहिमीन आमीन या रब्बल आलमीन. Jazakumullah khair wa ahsan jaza fi darain. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.